we see it. I know I get calls from the south end of the county a lot. We get calls. Crime is on the increase. The numbers, we can't do anything again about the numbers. You can't find those quality applicants. We just got to be able to try to retain the ones that we have that do know the county, that do know the ins and outs. But again, this is an issue it's not just in Tyler County, it's all over. So, but our residents, our voters, they understand, all they really understand, Joe, is that it's Tyler County, and we want to do everything we can. It does me no good to make excuses, Buck, and say this is happening all over. Residents and friends, further, Chester, Combsville, Warren, they don't want to hear that, and I'm not going to ever tell that to them. I want to be able to fight the best fight we can. So give me some questions.
Sure. This $2,000 is just basically a cost of living type of floor to this compared to what you may be losing, as you're saying, staff members to other departments. Can you tell us what the gap of what they're leaving for that you're already at and going to? And I've heard numbers kicked around between $3,000 to $10,000 as far as leaving.
Yeah, and I think that if I understand you correctly, you've got I'll use this one here. You've got, let's just say for the instance, your deputies right now. This is the 2020 and 40,482.52. I'll use my most recent, probably I say most recent, and I know he won't. Hayden Hughes. He goes to Silsbee Police Department, and he's over 50,000 walking through the door. That's 10,000 right there. Lumberton is a little bit more, I believe, and I've lost. And I say I have. The county's lost 2 individuals to that one. That's within the past 2 years, probably. Those are the type, and I say that because I remember the ones that even we've had. Grant Henschling not long ago went to Silsbee as well. The 4, and the only reason I remember those 4, and I know those are 4 that they're the ones that you don't ever want to leave here, Judge. They're the ones that when you and I are in our rocking chairs, that I wouldn't be, I feel safe. I want to get this to the point where this county, where we can be able to build on not only what we have, but maybe some, even with this $2,000 increase, maybe you get a little bit more of an attraction from where you would from, because they can weigh the pros and cons and this and that, but it just gives us a little more incentive, if you will, and that's me coming up here and saying, hey, I need, and I forget, I've got the right here, the Woodville Police Department, their numbers, from top to bottom, they're making significant more than, the county itself. But again, we all pick our choice, in doing that. But I just want as the leader of that department to be able to incentivize, if that's a word, Renee, just be able to some kind of pull, if you will, something that I can use, and to also to make sure that, Sergeant Calhoun doesn't decide he wants to go to the city of Woodville even, or, somewhere in Hardin County or Angelina County. I mean, those are that I just wanted to start somewhere. Like I said, but I knew there's no point in putting that burden on the taxpayers of come in and say, hey, I need $10,000 more police so I can compete. I know that's not feasible, but at the same time, those citizens they don't want to hear the excuse of we can't do this because of that.
So it's kind of like what Sandra was talking about earlier. You got to throw some money out there to them to keep qualified people or even get people at all, right?
The thing about it is
that the bottom line?
Well, the bottom line is too, what has hurt us so bad is number one, the media. Number two, the COVID, of course, with the nurses. I mean, that has been that's been we've got so many other factors that are coming into play nowadays, and And my business is no more, the county's business, we've got to remember too. And it's always been told to me this way, and I totally understand it. If I need a marriage license, if I need something, everything that the clerk does, when I need it at that point, she's the most important person in this county to me. If I need something from district clerk, hey, it's Renee. Same time, I don't try to put and play the card of the poor law enforcement. We're having to deal with all that. He chose to do that. I chose to do that. But in doing that, and the commissioners chose to do their job, whatever it may be. But we shouldn't be punished for that either. And I don't mean, and I say punished, the problem that we're running to as far as the punishment is the punishment of these guys, of me having one or two qualified applicants that are on the streets trying to do 944 square miles. But again, I'm not gonna take a fresh cadet that I don't trust. And that's not to say we don't hire brand new guys. We train them. We train them right there internally, but we only invest in the ones that hopefully, and you make mistakes, Lynn, don't we? We do. I mean, I make mistakes. We see that, but we try to do that to the best of our ability. I just want to be able to have something to be able to keep these folks here and to hopefully attract some.
You mentioned about the academy. Didn't you have a program where you would send a candidate and then they would make a commitment for whatever period of time to you
Yes, sir.
by underwriting the cost of
And
their
we do that, yes, sir.
training?
Yeah. And we
Can
probably,
you talk to us about that, where that program
yeah,
is?
what we'll do is, Judge, I'm glad you brought that up. If we, a lot of times you'll see the younger individuals, guys or gals, they'll start out in even communications and in our jail systems where they aren't peace officer certified yet. And y'all know as well as I do, when you invest some time in somebody, you can see, you see what type of quality of person you're dealing with, what type of job they do, if you will, and how they deal with the public. In our case, how they deal with inmates. And usually it's a minimum of 1 year, a lot of times two. If we can get that person that we feel like that we want to invest in, it's going to give us a return on our money, we will, we'll send those through the police academy. And we pay for them through money that we get from the comptroller each year on training. And that's part of it, is to be able to do that. And we've had some really good luck with that. And we, at the same time, I think it was one of our officers that gave us, we usually require about a 2-year commitment from them on that. That after we send them through the academy, we get a 2-year requirement from them. Then we're good. But we've lost one of the deputies that we lost down south was one that we had invested all of our money in. And, and I say our money, it was our money to be able to retain his services for 2 years. But after that, it was a fair contract, if you will, and he decided to go elsewhere.
Would you also talk to us about your experience with hiring retired officials? And I'll just use Sergeant Holloway as an example. After his DPS career, then he had an interest in getting back in. What does that look like in Tyler County? What type of resource? And is that a competitive resource? Because obviously he wants to live here.
Exactly.
Which is the need that you have.
Yes.
Versus
Exactly.
live here and commute somewhere else.
You've got to have somebody, Judge, that I go back to, is committed to Tyler County, if you will. And those are few and far between from the retired base that want to continue with the law enforcement career, especially these days. When it comes time to retire, Mike, we're ready to retire, but we have been blessed with that, especially in our courthouse security settings. We've got, for the part-time basis, you see that a lot in the part-time basis. We've got 3 individuals that are retired, if you will, that can still do a jam-up job each and every day. So that works out perfect. Sergeant Holloway, you brought him up, retired from the Department of Public Safety, and of course, he's still somewhat young, if you will. And we were able to attract him and be able to hold him here because he's already set. He's got a retirement that's coming in. Tim Beam, Chester resident, built a home there, grew up there, but worked at Beaumont Police for right at 30 years, I believe. And then, built a house in in Chester. Those are few and far between, but we are so blessed to have them. You take one in our department, my chief deputy, Jeff Mayshaw, one of my sergeants, Donald Calhoun. I mean, they've got over 20 years, or getting right at 20 years of service and dedication to this county. And those, that again, that is few and far between. And we're just having to deal, the aspect of the younger generation is a little more, you just have to be cautious, if you will, because number one, it's a dangerous job no matter what element of aspect you are in that department. Again, we go back to the communications, the dispatch. Taking that initial call is a lot of times more crucial than your responding deputies, if you will. The information that's gathered there, and the things that they're doing. So I'd just like your consideration on this, just to, like I said, I've been blessed with this commissioner's court now for 9 years, or will I say that, 19, including the justice of the peace position. So I understand the work that's put into it. I understand that there are numbers out there that you, a parameter judge that you have to work in, and I totally understand that. But I'm just trying to reach out and try to take care of my department and the citizens the best I can without us having to ever even consider a tax raise or a tax increase burden on the taxpayers of Tyler County.
Just posing a question for understanding where you're coming from. Had you had the $10,000 that you've lost the guys for that went to the other departments, did they go for the money? In other words, if you would have had that capacity to be able to.
There is no doubt in my mind 3 out of the 4. And the other individual wasn't from Tyler County, if you will, had moved here, and his wife had got a better job opportunity in Beaumont. So, that was kind of it was just icing on the cake for him to be able to move south.
Because just commuting, unless you're provided a vehicle to do that from your employer, you're talking about a significant amount just to go back and forth to Beaumont.
Oh, yeah,
To
exactly.
Lumberton
Yeah.
or wherever it is on database, and time-wise too.
But the thing too, Judge, is when I say that 10,000, that's an entry level walking through the door. That's not your 6 months. That's not your 1 year. Those, you're just a step up. And also another thing you see with municipalities, you like that, Sandra, that word? You see a 3% increase usually on the cost of living each year within those structured budgets. They see it right here. You can reach out to Command Rice Center and they'll show you where they're, just about every year they're receiving a 3% cost of living. So, like I said, that 10,000 is just that's entry level. That's walking.
Those are some of the questions I have.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you. And again, later on, in working these numbers up, there are, there's some considerations that could be given for certificate based, things of that nature, but you still, that's some evidence.
Hey, Brian,
Yes, sir.
on the, down here on the reduction of 1 investigator,
Yes,
so is
sir.
that gonna be taking 1 away from this 3 you got at the top?
There's currently 4.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, there's currently 4, and those, normally those, you see that within that, the investigator division, those are, I think maybe once we've seen that where you have an outside, no, I don't think we've ever, it's always within our department, promotion, if you will. I don't think we've ever had one that we've brought
That
in.
one that left and came back.
Okay, okay. You do sit with Ernie Martin, retired from Humboldt Police Department. He came in, yeah, and it was, yeah, immediate. So, yeah, that's, you know, with the investigator spot, again, when those positions are promoted, you leave a vacancy on the street as well.
Mike, your question kind of evokes a question through the years, just listening to the district attorney's office and their need for these cases to be thoroughly investigated, thoroughly vetted before they're presented to them, so that there's not a delay in their part of this. Would you be kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul just to try to pull down this investigator salary of almost $43,000 to pacify the immediate carrot
Sure.
to retain, but then backlog yourself on the other side of the work? I just,
I understand what you're
you
saying.
know, Mike,
Oh, I-
raising that question really kind of causes me,
Oh, I-
are we really helping?
Well, and that's the thing about it, I've came in here wondering if I was cutting my nose off to spite my face. It's a need, and the availability to retain the individuals that we have now, to be able to hopefully attract a few here and there of qualified applicants. Just don't get me wrong about that. I'm talking qualified applicants that I want working for me, that are actually taking care of the citizens of Tyler County. The taking away, in my opinion, as your sheriff, is more important than what I just said than losing one of those investigator spots. Unless we want to have this conversation of where we keep that and we just across the board, Judge, give raises, and I keep that, you know. I'm trying to come here to make a concession, not only for me, but a concession that will ultimately benefit the citizens of Tyler County.
So what I'm seeing, I mean, what you're saying, basically, if you had to lose anybody, this would be about the only place you could do it.
Exactly, and that's just, and I'm not, that's something that we've gone and I've thrown it against the wall several times, trying to figure it out and try to game plan as to what I feel is best at this point right now. And, you know, look, hey, I'm not saying next year I might be back begging for that. I mean, I don't, you know, I'm not saying that. I don't know what 2022 is gonna hold any more than Sandra does or you guys do. We just don't know. I just wanna try to do the best that I can, you know, looking forward for the coming year, and by the grace of God, we survived that and we're back here next year, talking about 2023, so.
This is a way for you to keep from costing the taxpayers that much.
Exactly, and that's,
Still retain people and hire them.
and Commissioner, that's exactly why I said about us making me, when I say me, as the sheriff, making the concession that, hey, this is how I feel like it's best serving everybody at this time.
I appreciate that, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Just so we're clear, the loss of one investigator at an annualized amount of $42,985. Basically, $42,000.
And Judge, I think, and I didn't know whether to, because I don't have a hard, solid number on, I think I was probably referencing something you said 2 or 3 years ago, the amount of benefits, if you will, what they equal up in dollar signs, as far as the benefits of your retirement, insurance, the cost of insurance, plan.
Yeah, that's kind of the minimus in the context of this, because if your salary base is
Exactly.
not to be able to, because we're only talking about $60 difference at $2,000 per year of net take-home pay for paycheck. So it's not a significant impact that they're gonna realize
Gotcha.
by the time you do the deductions. And, you know, you've got it submitted at $67,192. So my question would be, and I haven't run your numbers just yet to get an understanding. it wouldn't be that full impact possibly. Because you've got that one position that was calculated in against this $62,192. Am I correct in that assumption?
I don't think on that.
So right now you have 3 investigators.
That would put me, I've got
He
4
budgeted for 4.
positions now. Yeah, I'm budgeted for 4.
I know,
But
but do
you
you
have
have
one
4
that's
or do you
not-
have 3?
One that's not filled right
That's
now,
right,
correct?
yeah, the unfilled position.
That's
Yeah,
what
but
I'm
I feel-
wondering.
No, I've got 1 investigator.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh,
One
you-
field position.
Yes, 1 field position, if you will.
But you are budgeted for 4,
Yes, correct.
and you're trying to find 2 more, correct?
if he-
Yeah, well, yeah, just on the investigation department. And again, those come from patrol moving up. And those,
Right.
where there's already numbers in the, it's gonna continue, you know, unless I just get flooded with great applicants, you know. We're gonna, that, again, that goes back to the reduction, Judge, of the 1. Unless we get a great pool to draw from, there's gonna be some gap filling for the years to come. That's why I'm wanting and conceding, if the court is willing, the 1 position.
Okay, so.
Go back to
let me-
number,
let me ask it in this way then. So your personnel model is going from 4 investigators to 3.
Yes, sir.
So your current budget is for 4. So if you're reducing it by 1.
Correct.
Then you're taking that savings and redistributing.
Yes, sir, correct.
Okay, so does that satisfy your personnel model to where you're still able to deliver, which was the question earlier?
Yes,
You know,
Yeah.
if you're robbing for Peter to pay Paul.
yeah, well, we're gonna continue with that model until, there's no doubt in my mind, and I'm gonna let Sergeant Calhoun speak here in just a second, so get ready. There's no doubt in our model, and I think if you, poll the citizens of Tyler County with the model that we've had in place and what we've got, we're providing a service to them, and we're providing that adequate service, and we want to continue to do that. I feel, as the sheriff, we can continue to, and can not even continue, we can increase and enhance what we're able to do because of being able to retain what we have. Because again, it's this isn't all created overnight. It takes time to develop those relationships within the county, to know the areas, to know the criminals, to do those things. It takes time. It does not happen overnight. And it can't happen just with somebody that you bring in fresh, that's not necessarily even from Tyler County, but just fresh to the law enforcement field and the aspects that they have to face each and every day.
And how long, Sheriff, have you been doing the investigator or functioning with 1 investigator?
When did Ernie leave, Don? Do you remember?
This year.
This year, okay, time flat,
Yeah.
this year.
We
And
lost one.
well, and the thing about it is to be able, you know, with COVID, all we were doing was creating a backlog, if you will, of the things that were going on through the court system. It got to picking back up and we were rolling there doing good. And now we're starting to slow down and go back through that process again. The thing about it is where we've been supplementing, if you will, just having that 1 investigators or your patrol sergeants, and also the other seasoned officers are be able to take those cases and take them to a further level than your normal beginners would be, thus creating less workload, if you will, on that 1 investigator. But Joe, when something major happens, whether it be a murder, whatever, we, really deem as the major stuff, if you will, that you see that makes the Facebook, it's a whole team effort from me all the way to the bottom. I mean, we have jailers that are participating, and they may just be participating, bringing water or whatever, but it's a team effort. So, it's not
But
like,
you can function.
well, yeah, I mean, we're gonna function no matter what. You can take all my investigators away, we're gonna function. Yes, with the 3, again, that goes back to that's kind of a branch of, we have narcotics that's kind of tied in with that, if you will. And then, of course, we know that we all have issues with the narcotics and regions, and that all stems to your burglaries, your thefts, whatever it may be. It's a trickle down effect.
Okay.
I just want to make sure, Judge, that the commissioners and you, and everybody here understand that in taking away that one position, I am highly confident, I have no reservations that we can produce, protect, and serve the way we always have, if not better.
So quick calculation, based upon what you submitted, just need to make sure that it's correct. Looks like the net increase to your budget, based upon what you're asking for, with the reduction of that one investigator, comes up to about $10,207.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Now, Judge, now you are, but now are you still with the 14,000 in there? That's where I got lost with you, on the benefits end of it. Or did you
Yeah,
just-
he added it in.
Or did you
Going
just
with
that
the
away?
50.
Okay, okay.
what I'm looking at right now is just what you have put on.
Okay,
Right, yeah. The bottom line
Yeah,
there, subtract that from the 67,000.
so you're offsetting the total impact compared to what it would have been, right?
yes,
Okay.
That'll help a whole lot on being able to,
yes.
try to maybe make this work out.
And that's why I tell them I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I was, yeah.
It's a lot easier.
And we will get some closer numbers from Jackie on that.
Sure. Sure, oh, yeah, and then, like I said, this is, yeah.
But it's not gonna be far off from that, I would.
And we've talked again, I'm sure there'll be another meeting, I'm sure. Workshop on it. Thanks, guys, for listening to me. Sometimes I get long-winded, so I'm sorry. Before you might, Sergeant, did there's anything, what did I leave out?
Just if you touched on all of it, we need the investigators, we have to, that we're gonna pick from and we're gonna choose, are gonna be seasoned. We're not gonna pick somebody just from, that comes in, gets hired on from an investigation. You know the people, know the streets, know the DA's office, the district clerk's office, know all that. So in order to season them, we need applicants. So it's kind of, that position will just sit there until we can get somebody in there to season. And those people that we thought we were seasoning has left and went to Seals Beat and, Lumberskin and all that. And I know the guys, it's probably not a very big increase, but just something will help stand up to, hey, we are moving forward.
So when you get some people in the patrol cars to fill those seats, then you move a couple of them to be investigators. It's a lot.
Well, and can I say something too? Because you know I'm going to.
So you really don't have to ask the question,
Thank
right?
you.
That's very polite of you to ask.
Thank you. Juvenile cases come to my office, they don't go to the district attorney's office first. There's no lesser quality of work right now being done by the sheriff's office. The only problem is, when I call down there and say, hey, is Joe Blow there so I can talk about this case? No, he left and went to Lumberton. Oh, dang. Well, no, he left and went to Silsbee. The quality of work is there. It's just keeping these people in this county. So I'm just saying, those cases come to me, they don't go to the district attorney's office, and they don't have to go investigate anything in the district attorney's office, plus the sheriff's office does it. And those patrol officers do it well. That's just what I
I like what she thinks, thank you.
think.
Give her an application.
Hey, I said in a week I could have that place straightened out.
We'd have 42 empty positions.
I'm just saying.
Terry, that's not what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, I don't want you seeking the position of sheriff. I don't want that competition.
Anybody else have questions for
Thank
Chief?
y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all.
So I just wanted to ask, so the bottom line is they'll all get about a $2,000.
Well, and like the judge, I mean, he even referenced, I mean, it's not, I mean, and Donald followed it up, it's something. It's, I don't, I want to be realistic about this, and Donald said it perfectly, if nothing else, it shows, and it shows to them, we're trying to move forward, if you will, you know, in every aspect, if you will, and it's, by check, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like a whole lot, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that like to have that increase, so.
Right,
Can I say something on the HR side of that? When they,
certainly.
because I might
You're going
tell.
to
Terry,
You're gonna guess.
You're going to anyway, so yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
we've recently gone through this hiring process, trying to get qualified people to apply to sheriff's office. And when they call and they ask and they research what the starting salary is, I've had 4 people hang up on me and say, "You've got to be kidding." Click.
Yeah, and that was kind of where I was going. I mean, we're putting the Band-Aid on there, but what are we gonna do next year?
Well,
you know, that-
yeah,
If they're hiring them in at Silsbee for 52 or 50, we're still nowhere near, it's just gonna continue to happen.
Yeah, we got to do the best we can do, and Leanne, and I thought about when she brought that up about that, she has seen she not only, the applicants that we review, if you will, she's already seen them probably in person, but then she's seen the applications themselves filled out. And you're gonna expect me to put this person out there to protect even my family? No, sir, that's not happening.
And a lot of that hanging up on you is probably, I probably shouldn't say this, but I mean, they think they're entitled. This newer generation, and I'm just gonna throw it out there because I've dealt with it, they think that they should have the highest paying job right off the bat and the brick house that mom and daddy raised.
Well, I will say though, I mean,
You
if
know.
I've got the education and the experience and I want to come home
Mhm.
and I can't pay you to be home, sure, you shouldn't have hung up on me or laughed at me, but
Mhm.
that's kind of the response you're gonna get because I can't pay you to be home.
Mhm.
And the only people that are gonna take care of home are people that want to be here.
That want to be here,
Right.
that love it here.
Yeah.
Anything else for the sheriff?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Monk, I see where you presented a letter that you're not, no changes to yours, right?
No changes. I don't like to be told no. Isn't that right, Mr. Stirrup?
No changes.
No, you
No
do not,
changes.
Leanne.
I don't like to be told no.
Mr. Auditor, on the insurance, health insurance, what kind of, numbers have they sent us on those? Increases,
Y'all approved it, what
what was the increase?
it was 39 something per employee. There was no increase in the vision.
About $55.
55 for the year.
Yeah.
That does fluctuate depending on the employees that we have.
Right, but its positions is what you have to budget for.
Sure,
If we have one employee, you still got budget for
Correct.
120.
but it does.
I was like, you didn't know and you didn't go.
No, and some people might not know what the numbers are. Oh, everybody in. So one possible way to help offset some of that stuff, and Jackie and I have been talking to the retirement, is that yearly we can change our matching rate on retirement. And this year, we're gonna have to go up on our percentages, a couple of percent, right? Right.
We're an elected range of 6.89,
Yeah.
and we're gonna be required to go to 8.52.
Now, and we're at a 200% match on what the employee puts in there, and what we put in there. So we can drop down, and we ran some numbers on percentages, we can make 5% increment changes for the year. So we can drop down to 1.5 match and we won't have to increase any of our percentage. Actually, it goes way down, I believe. About 1.75, 1.7, somewhere along there is where we would not have to increase any of our contributions to the retirement system, to keep it at fully vested on required deposit, right? Required rate.
But that's gonna affect the people that retire.
The only thing it will affect is what the money is put in this year, in this fiscal year. So if you can change that yearly, and it only affects the year that you adopt that percentage rate. So I guess basically is if we stay at 200% match, we're gonna have to go up a couple of percent on our pay raises. I don't forget what money, 150,000, is that right? Unfunded. Is that right?
Well, may I say something about that?
Yes.
You're not gonna be able to find anybody to go to work this county if you do that.
Thank you,
I'm
Chief.
telling you.
With the kind of salaries that are paid,
Right.
the reason they work in this county are their benefits.
Yeah,
And when you
right.
drop it down to something like that.
Oh, I don't even wanna go to work.
Yeah. I believe that one of the reasons people do work here is because of the benefits.
Right.
It kind of goes, and I was thinking, it kind of goes back to the sheriff's saying,
Yeah, that.
you're not gonna get paid a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
But that is an option to save, to use your money at elsewhere going in there, if that's what you want to do. But if we're gonna leave it there, we're going to have to go up. We're gonna have to pay more money. Yeah, it's at
And sometimes that's when you show your employees what they're worth.
6.89 is where we're paying now, and we'll have to go up to 8.52. So it's gonna be about, I think, the way I understand, it's $150,000 a year for we're gonna have to pay more to stay where we're at to fund it. So we've been in a higher elective rate over the last 3 years, kind of cushion some of this if this happened. We've been paying in more than what we were required to pay in. And anyway, we need to know that. That's gonna be an increase on our tax use, just to stay funded there.
Jackie, how often does that thing go, I mean, I know it changes every year, but is that a significant jump? I mean,
Went from six
Well, we
point eight
did, I
nine
know,
to eight
they
point
told us
two.
last year that would happen, didn't they?
Well, see, 2 years ago, I believe it was, Judge, didn't we pay 2 million in?
Yeah.
I don't recall it being 2 years.
We
But we
paid
had
2
paid.
million in, so that lowered our match then. But it's one of those bills that you're never gonna have it paid off. You're gonna have to do some.
And it's a snapshot of 1 day of the market. So if it's a good day, then your percentage might not go up. But if it's a bad day, then you might go up. Yeah, it's a snapshot of 1 day of the market. I don't think in the last 2 years it's gone up very much at all. It has.
But our paying it down helped us. But now because of the market, we're back having to match this.
Yeah, we're at 99.5% funded on our whole retirement system.
Because you have to remember, our retirement system is a cash
Savings base.
savings based retirement.
And just know we're gonna have to fund that.
And I would just add to this conversation that when we looked at this several years ago, we had the cash position to be able to transfer those reserve funds to reduce that long-term debt to the fund, whereby it reduced our monthly contribution down. If we hadn't, it would have gone up into the double digits At one time, it seems like we were at about 11.69. And if you can contrast that to where we currently are at 6.89, or where we're projected to have to go to the 8.52, that gives you kind of an idea of the debt, that monthly debt obligation to retirement account.
When I first came here, it was 14%.
Yeah, we sure don't need to get behind when we get this stuff. And I know you gave this to us, Jack, I don't have it. It's in our book on our required increases for our longevity and all that. What's the total cost right here?
That's for your, that Excel sheet that I have is for 2022 salaries with the longevity added for 2023.
So do we have a total figure of the bottom line? Yeah. How much? 280?
I don't have a sheet.
Yeah, I don't know. About 300,000. So that's longevity and increase in general fund, right?
I know precinct town.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't bring that with me.
Thought I had an email on it.
Of 223.
That was the best, that was a draft best estimate.
Yes.
So 223, about, yeah, 200, a little bit over 223,000. That's to the general fund, all the roads and bridges.
That's for keeping, general fund, keeping the insurance that y'all adopted with the increase,
Right.
and the increase to the retirement and the longevity.
For all the employees.
The main longevity is already in our budget, you just have to add the 120 or 249, whatever it is, based
Each
on
year.
their, based on their years of service.
So that's everything that, if we don't change anything, and that's gonna be our increase, our base increase, yeah.
Approximately.
Yeah, probably.
Still gotta double check everything. And I did ask Lynette when she thought she might have numbers, and she was hopeful to have them, I think she said Wednesday, sometime Wednesday, to know what our rate would be.
Any other requests?
While we're asking, I'll just go ahead and say this. You know, I just felt like I have to do this because, you know, I love my girls. Without them, I couldn't do a job. I would just ask a increase in living for them.
How much money you talking about?
I thought, did we discuss that, didn't we, the other day, what it would be? As far as,
Yeah.
You know, when, you know, as I worked over the years, I would take that little bit, I would take it, half it, put part of it in my check, and then I would put the other part in my 401k plan. And over the years, it's considerable. I mean, I realize it's just a little bit, but, you know, that few extra pennies in that check just always did something for me, you know? But it may not for everybody, but it did for me. I was grateful for it. So with that being said,
About what are you talking like?
Well, I think we all feel that way.
Whatever it was, I don't remember. But that's how I created the increase that we would get would be that way, and it's worked for me, you know. But I mean, I've had a business in Comonell for nearly 40 years, so, you know, that's how we lived, was just, you know, we just had a certain amount that come in and we lived on that. And whatever I got in that check is what I worked with. You know, so every little bit I got was that much more ahead. So,
You talking about the percentage? Is that what you're talking?
I was just asking about.
Yeah,
What she was talking about, the increase.
Well, they used
What
to
she
say
was
the
eating.
cost of living increase was 3%.
yeah, that's basically,
Cost of living for me is the same as it is for the lowest paid person, I would think. Everything costs the same as the grocery store.
I would just say to consider the fact that, yeah, there is a cost of living, and that just because we work for the county doesn't mean that our cost of living isn't the same as everybody else's. And just because we work for the county and we have phenomenal benefits, that is wonderful. I shouldn't be punished because I have great benefits. And I shouldn't be punished because I have a great job and I chose to work here and I chose to do this, or my employee, not two, but one, remember that, Stephen. It is important that if we're gonna keep quality people in this county, that we show them we appreciate them, regardless if it is in the sheriff's department or general probation, or what facility that they work at. The world is seeing an increase, and we have to live with that too. And if we can't make ends meet, and can't make ends meet, then what are we even doing? So, my 2 cents.
Well, my guys have been just asking me religiously over and over, you know, are we ever gonna get another raise? And I know they don't make big money. I mean, you know, they chose to work at the county, I understand that, but they're good guys. And I mean, like you said a while ago, you know, they're gonna start going somewhere else. I mean, I've had the precinct 2 commissioner there in Hardin County trying to get 2 of my guys really bad here lately, and he can pay them a lot more money. And I mean, I can't blame them if they go. But, you know, I know I'm new at this, 2.5 years of it, but I mean, I just think we need to give them something. I mean, that's my opinion, and you know, that's where I stand on it. I don't think that the common public they don't understand how this works, as far as they see their values going up, 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 up. And when you try to explain it to them, you know, well, we fixed the tax rate, so we're not taking in any more money. We're just maintaining the status quo. But they don't see it as that. They see it as, bless God, you're raising my taxes and taxing me to death. And they want to know where their money's going. Why can't they get I mean, it's not just people who work for me. I have this discussion all the time with people. Had one last night with a guy, you know, and they just don't grasp how it works. And as far as an increase in pay, I like I say, I think that we need to do something across the board.
Well, I live my personal life on a line item budget in the cash envelope system, and been on the same budget for 6 or 7 years probably. Our son has left home, went to college, and he's been on his own for about 1.5 years now. Lives on his own, got his own job. The amount of money that I had budgeted bi-weekly for the 3 of us, it held us fine for years. Now it's just Connie and I buying on that same budget, and we run out of money, grocery money, before the end of the 2 weeks. But I know things that I have not written numbers down what things cost back then. I just know that my envelope goes dry, and there's 2 of us eating out of it, and there were 3 of us eating out of it.
You still got the garbage can.
He's religious about the envelope.
I said you still got the garbage
I probably got one in my water, I sure do.
He's religious about the budget, let me tell you.
I had a worker in my office, still have. She was working in Boulder. And she was working for the state. She wanted to come home. So she applied. And she took a significant cut and play. But she wanted to be home. She wanted to be home with her children. They go to school here. She took that considerable cut and pay. And she ain't uttered a word yet about wanting more money. But I know, whenever the conversation is had in my office, she said, yeah, it'd be nice, but it was worth it. And we all that work here make that decision that this is gonna be enough. Whatever that is, we stay here and we work for it, and we work with it. But it's like I said, a few little dollars in that paycheck every so often, it makes a remarkable difference. And she's never said, I wish I never stopped, not ever has that come out of her mouth. And, and she's happy working, here. But, that is part of the conversation that, it's little bit. So,
Well, I bought toilet paper Saturday at Dollar General, and I buy the Dollar General brand. And it had been $7 for, I think it's 12 rolls. So I went to buy toilet paper Saturday, couldn't find that brand, so now everything was True Living. And I asked them, I said, so where's the Dollar General brand? Well, that's gone out, it's now True Living. Same toilet paper had increased by $1.75, it's now $8.75.
Well, I can teach you how to use one square per use.
Oh.
Well, I don't want to see that.
Well, I won't, I'm just showing.
And I'm a visual learner.
There are some things in life worth spending the extra dollar for. Sharpen is one of them.
And I know Mike knows, from 84 to 94, we didn't receive any kind of increase. And, that mentality is, oh, it's taxpayer dollars, we can't pay you anymore. But then they raised vehicle allowances and that kind of stuff, so they had a little bit more cash in their pocket.
That's right.
Yeah.
Green beans, green beans.
Yeah.
I went to Sam's other than you could buy green beans.
What was?
Orange juice.
Orange juice.
Case. $8.98 now.
Some orange food.
Mike got less money.
Put it in my water.
A bag of feed has gone up $2 to $3. I mean, everything.
It's not just the 10 cent or 20 cent anymore.
So Jackie, could you run us up some numbers on some multiple?
I knew you were gonna ask. That's with all the matching, that's a $1,200, and I just did it times 120 people. I know we don't have,
But you're 120 positions, right?
well, probably. And then the other side is 2,000.
Yeah, and that's with the benefits on there, or
Correct.
liabilities and all that.
Yeah, the matching for the taxes and the retirement and then the workers' comp.
Well, I'll just call these numbers out and you can get a copy of this, but a $1,200 a year increase for everybody with liabilities and benefits is $171,604. And a $2,000 a year increase would be $286,008.
And that is with leaving the retirement at the new rate, 8.52.
Right there, which I would sure like to do. And that's leaving retirement at the 200,
So what was the second?
286,
$2,000.
I got that, that was a
$2,000 a year increase. So you add that to the 223, right?
I've told several people my feelings, I'd like to get raises, but also, people's taxes are getting higher and higher, and it's hard for them to pay. One case in Warren, stipulating, high taxes. And I don't know if it ever got reduced, but
It did,
did it?
it did, it was an error in the system.
I pulled out of my driveway and one of my neighbors went right at me, and know the guy, and it's just several people, we keep on going up a little bit.
Well, I know, especially in Ivanhoe, since they, went to the city, their taxes, theirs is over $3 per hundred, several people in there.
A lot of those people were hurt.
Of course, the Cone deal, like Amanda, when they put in the water district deal out there to rebuild that lake, some of theirs is over $3. Mr. Luther said somebody told him 40 years ago, if it ever got to 3%, 3% of the value, then you'll start seeing tax revolts. People want to revolt over the taxes, but I think we're getting close to it.
I was thinking, you got the retirement match of $150,000 on longevity of 223, 192, and then you throw on top of that 171 or 286. That's a lot of money.
But my taxes are going up too.
Yeah,
And I
mine
gotta
too,
pay.
and I lived off a lot less money too. when
I
worked for the Road
understand,
and Bridge
but
crew.
we've gotta pay ours too.
Yeah, well,
More than 10% of my paycheck goes to property taxes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, no, yeah.
That's just the way I feel about it. I'd love to. My guys, they work hard and they make me look good. It's nice to just be able to give them a raise. It's always a cost.
Well, can I ask this silly question? Is the reason the taxes are going up, is it state driven or is it county driven? Isn't there a difference?
Some of both.
The state sets the values,
Yes.
basically. The counties have to be within 5% of
Of
what the
those
state
values,
says. And then we try to adjust our
according,
effective rate
yes.
to maintain the budget that we had before.
It's the values that have exploded.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, we're just,
Well, that's what I'm saying, is this the values
we're
that,
keeping our rate to where we don't
Generate.
we don't generate no more money for ourselves, but it looks like, they don't get it. That's just what I was saying a while ago.
I don't think you
All
can
they see
explain
is
that
that their
perception
taxes
to
go up
people.
$500.
I think that's part of the problem. People don't understand the perception of where the taxes are really, where the tax increases are really coming. If one product invokes another, and then that's why we've got what we got. And I think people that aren't in it, it's hard for them to understand that.
A lot of people are struggling,
Anyway,
business-wise
yeah.
with COVID and all that stuff.
Right.
And somebody that becomes exempt for whatever reason, the age or the disability or whatever reason that is, then theirs are ceiling, it's not frozen, but it's ceiling, so somebody has to take up that slack with it. Even though we don't raise our rate, we might pay more taxes even though we didn't raise the rate
Yeah.
of what we're still collecting the same amount of money. We're just collecting more from this person and less from this person.
Well, and that's another thing, if that person that has a freeze on their taxes, if they only own one piece of property, that is correct.
Yeah.
But if they own more than one
Homestead,
piece
yeah.
of property, they are paying the full
Right.
of that tax,
Only on their homestead are they see that.
Exactly, if they have more than that, they have a business, they're paying the full tax, so, that's another,
With no exemptions on that.
exactly, with no exemptions.
But when the appraisals go up, they still go up on the people that are frozen.
They
No,
don't pay anymore.
Not on their homestead. If they got any
Not
other
on homestead, on
property.
anything up.
Any other
All they have is a
Now,
homestead.
the school taxes came.
School
We're
taxes.
talking about county taxes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they won't go up on that. It will show what it increased, but then it will show the exempted amount, the ceiling amount, or what the maximum.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people never take the time to look at what goes to the hospital district or the school taxes. They just see that number, and I mean,
That's
they're
right.
just totally, engrossed with that number, and they don't ever really look to see where it all goes. I mean, because it goes to a lot of different places.
And the county gets the blame for the whole thing.
And the county gets to hold the bag.
And it's because they're writing it to Lynette, and she's redistributing
Mhm.
the portion that everybody else.
Right, right.
And it may be that we need to just start collecting our own, and then let everybody else collect
See,
their
I
own,
think that,
and let them write them checks separately, and that way they can see it, because
They will collect at the school, then, is that right?
because I guarantee you, if they had to do that, they would look at it differently.
there is a small percentage that she is able to retain as just an operating amount, and it's gonna be a small amount compared to the work that she has to do to run all of those numbers and to be sure that every check that comes in is cut to these various ESDs, the cities, the school districts,
Water
hospital,
district,
I'm sorry,
water district.
So where would, if she only collected this, tax assessor only collected the county taxes, does that include the hospital, the ESD, and the
Cities.
special? Would they still pay it to her, or would they have to go to like those ESDs to pay it, or do you?
I don't know, but this group right here is the one that sets that rate. They vote for the hospital, for the county, and for Road and Bridge.
And the ESD?
No,
Now,
Well, the
They set their own.
ESDs have their own commissioners,
Okay.
so they determine what they're
Okay,
gonna
that's right,
raise,
yes.
and they just add whatever it is into the configuration of the tax.
They're limited on what they can.
And we can give away, whatever is chosen to do, but we're gonna have to take it from somebody, or we're gonna have to cut something. It's only 100 pennies in a dollar. And we've got either at $1,200, roughly $1,200 per year raise, that's almost $400,000. Joe, you were referencing that a while ago. At a $2,000 raise, a $500,000 increase. Either way, it's only $100,000 difference, but it's because everything else that we're already gonna have to pay for, that we've already discussed, is gonna have to be levied in taxation, at $223,000. So you're looking at if we kept everything exactly the way that it was and did a raise, a 4 to 5 cent increase in our operating appetite to satisfy exactly where we are. And I don't think that includes sheriff's request, but it's
all.
a minimum, yeah, right now, because $10,000, I mean, it's,
But a penny a raise, 100,000, so when you get that 500,000, it'd be 5 cents. Good look.
otherwise, we're gonna have to come up with the 223,000 inside what we already have.
Cutting some stuff somewhere.
But Mike, yeah, but that's ongoing. That's not a one-time this year only.
Yeah.
You're talking about that responsibility every year after that. So if that increase retains the same, then we're gonna have to cut or raise 223,000 roughly. I mean, it's just, in theory. So it's exciting times.
the ESD that we have there in Sparta, I mean, with that fire department, or is it the fire department itself that has that?
The
They have a-
ESD that has the
they have a sales tax that they collect,
From the stores.
yeah. And it's amazing how much money that they collect a year just off of that little sales tax that they have there. And I mean, Sparta don't have that much stuff. Dollar store,
They petitioned for that,
mm-hmm,
so they were able to supplement
right,
against what they didn't have to tax
mm-hmm,
in order to be able to meet the budgets to fund the fire departments.
right. But it adds up quite fast. I mean, that lady at the dollar store told me that place runs $1 to $2 million a year. So if you take that little small percentage out of there, you know, of course, you got the other stores too. So maybe it's not such a bad idea to go to a statewide sales tax.
And also, we got the, Don Easton's, the elections administrator, that he's not getting compensated for. I would sure like to do something for her as the
Yes.
administrator, elections administrator. I do too.
Thank you.
For what?
They stood all the election administration stuff.
It could be a nightmare, I don't know how much longer I have to
I
do
think
this.
about a $5,000 increase on, or stipend, or however you want to put it down.
Sounds good.
Fair deal, I think. It's a lot of headache.
Yeah, county, there's a lot of counties in Texas that's going to that, because they don't want to have to fund the whole elections administration part.
Not to mention she's court coordinator now too.
And new clerks, it's just overwhelming to them, you know, so they just come in, they don't refuse to do it. Happy.
Jamie, what has happened in the past on some of this, we've taken from the fund balance to balance some of this stuff, these longevity things.
Yeah, general fund's kind of,
It's going away.
yeah, I won't say it's tapped out, but it's getting close.
You gotta do something to cover the cost of the yearly increase in cost.
Well, you have to look at like the JPs, Donnie's, Renee. A lot of this, the filing fees that people file, people think the county is getting all that money, and they're not. Because it's all divided out in the state costs that once a quarter, I send roughly 28 to 30,000 to the state for fees that we collected
For them.
in their behalf.
For them.
But they see that ticket, $50, they think the county's getting the whole $50, and we're not.
I guess that's on the backside when it makes the loop back around.
Once again, it's all
It's
about
designated
perception.
funds,
Well, that tells you something right there. The balance is going down, we're losing ground.
Yeah,
I mean, if they're gonna gripe about raising taxes, give them something to gripe about.
Well, I just don't see where it's gonna be able to keep going like it's going. Sooner or later, they're gonna have to figure out another way to collect taxes.
funds, fund government, you know.
Instead of property, paying property taxes, you only get a small portion of the population paying on it that way. If they started putting a 1 or 2 cent tax on groceries, then they could raise millions of dollars. And it'd be more fair, I feel like.
We, local government, some way to control that. If not, the state's gonna get it, and they'll tell us what we need. That's the only problem I see with that. I'm
Well,
worried,
that's
that's
just
what I'm
like
worried
those
about.
bridges that they built, and they were only supposed to charge till the bridge got paid for.
Or maintenance.
And then they realized that was easy money, and so, you know, then it was supposed to go to the schools, and then it didn't go to the schools, and they found other uses for it, so it never went away, like they said.
Or like the
you know.
lottery.
Mhm.
I hate to see them get control of local people's money. What's next?
Well, I don't even know what you want me to add in there or not add in there. Lynette said that she would hopefully have her rate by Wednesday, hopefully. Because really, until we know that,
We're really shooting in the dark.
Yeah.
we don't know what we can and can't do.
Coach, how long can we recess on the workshop?
I think, your call is something about 24 hours.
So we can come back tomorrow and then recess again if we needed to. Is that Or can you only recess one time?
I don't
You don't know that.
Um, So we won't know.
We don't have enough time to call them for anything.
No, do we Thursday? All of this after what time we are right now, yeah.
3
What
o'clock.
time we get it posted? Or we can do it Friday. Only thing on Friday.
Thursday or Friday.
Do it early.
Oh, look at that phone.
Oh, not that early.
Did you see Bucks? Friday, you're gonna get me.
There are people that come to this on Friday.
Well, I'm always at work, 24/7.
We always on call.
Mhm.
Well, the good news
This
is
is
we
a-
got oil and gas back in our office. It'll be there this year.
Yeah, they got that big water line laid downside 1746. They're fixing to hydrate that well out there.
Thursday
I
afternoon.
was gonna ask you what all that tubing stuff
Yeah,
was.
they're fixing to frack that well, that other one they drilled, and they're drilling another one in there where the first one is. So we're not gonna be able to get there to give this to them today, so that means I'll have to hang on to this overnight, and that's just
Friday morning at 9 o'clock.
check for this.
See what else is available if that's not available.
3 o'clock, yeah.
They leave at 3:30. Well, it's average 3:15.
Oh, so I want to support Donald's redoing our security system.
You want to report about it?
I want to support it,
Oh, you want to support it?
support it. Well, I just heard that we need to upgrade our security system,
Definitely need to do that.
right?
Judge
The
needed
cameras,
some Apple
yeah.
cards.
Thursday or Friday.
So what? I said the judge needed some Apple cards the other day.
No, which one?
That email.
Apple cards. that
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
had.
Six of them. They
They only wanted 4 from me.
Only 6 for me.
You were in a meeting at 5:30 in the morning.
I saw that.
You was up early.
I told them I'd have to leave mine at the sheriff's department for them. And they quit communicating with me.
I must not have heard that.
So
one
is
or
that
saw
gonna
it.
be a big amount, Donald, or
I don't get it.
we already have a budget
Look
for
at
it?
the email to see where it's at, it looks like it came directly from him.
Oh, is that the one where, oh, yeah, I saw that.
Surely you got one of those.
Yeah, is this it right here? Or maybe not.
How about Friday morning at 9 o'clock?
Can you do me a big favor? Friday
Oh,
morning
yeah,
at
can you
9?
spare a minute to assist me in completing a
Yeah.
task?
that'd be
Yeah,
good.
that's what
And I felt bad all week that I didn't see it.
Was that a hack?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Still feeling.
Oh, I got one.
Told him, but if you look
Yeah.
at
I
the
did
out-
see it later though, and I thought, oh,
You didn't even
I
buy-
think I don't wanna talk to him or something.
You buy an Apple card.
I didn't buy no apple
Isn't
cards,
that
I
mean?
just deleted that one, but the one you
People-
wanted help with, I said,
People
if I
literally
can,
stay up.
sure.
Thinking of eating to do, don't they? Isn't that horrible?
Every 7 minutes. she gets
Friday,
phone.
Friday morning at 9 o'clock.
Isn't that horrible how people just spend their whole 24/7 trying to hurt
Kill
people?
somebody?
There's a good place in hell for them folks, I'm telling you.
I hope so.
I'm sorry, I'm on camera.
Hey, I was supposed to say something to y'all about this back on, when y'all had the commissioner court this morning, but Renee did not have time. I had Judge Stover, grand jury, and then criminal day, all in 1 week, and that's a killer for us. So I didn't have time to submit to y'all my budget, not my budget, but my monthly report. But I also needed to talk to y'all about me going to Austin in September. I have to have approval because it's not in my budget for that. None of the district clerks in the past have done it, but it's a legislature conference. And,
Don't you have training and education in your budget?
I do for one time a year. But this, I went in June, and this particular one is in September. And I have to have y'all's approval for that.
Approval or money?
Both. Approval for the money.
She can go, if she wants to.
One arm guy gets right on.
You know, and I'm asking, so, you know, if y'all just,
Well, we have a court on the 30th,
August,
August the 30th.
that's my criminal day, I can't come.
Well, you can put it in.
Oh, okay, I have to show up? Oh, okay, all right,
I
okay.
thought, when are we leaving on that trip?
Well, I look for them to send us something that they're gonna make it virtual.
Yeah,
They're not
I'm
gonna
suspecting that as well.
let it be in
Man,
person.
we're not gonna get
Because
the
it's
one armed
ranked
guy
at
to
the
wait on us. We're not gonna get the one armed guy to wait on us again.
Okay.
Oh, Buck, you're on
Oh,
video.
right.
I know that, but it was funny.
All right.
No, you were funny.
Friday at 9 o'clock, y'all wanna do that?
Friday at 9.
It's all right with me.
That's fine
We
with
know
me.
what numbers to put together.
You got probate then, Jack?
Tomorrow.
Friday at 9, that's good.
All right.
Okay.
We have to adjourn.
Oh, you poor thing.
You don't take this recess, 'cause there's two.
So Friday at
I'll
9?
make a motion.
Second.
Friday at
There's a
9.
motion second to adjourn the workshop, and then there's gonna be a posting for Friday at 9 o'clock for another workshop.
Yes.
Who seconded that?
I did.
But
So what you're gonna do is sit behind the money, or whatever. Everything of it is, I might find the money for this year, but I think the general fund can sustain.
All right. See y'all Friday.
This conference is no longer being recorded.